Omo To Sure, you fine. Girl, I like to make you mine. And I no feel sleep, I no feel eat. Now you with my mind. Omo To Sure.
Hello everyone, my name is Zulu Makyolo, your host from M_. Before we welcome our viewers, let us welcome our co-hosts. I'm going to start with Wendy Parkis. Hi Wendy.
Hi, hello everyone.
Aneli Leki Bitlego.
Hey everybody.
Ua Jacobs.
Hey guys.
And last but not least, Ms. Mbali Nyawe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to M_. The topic for today is gender-based violence. As self-explanatory as that is, let me provide you with a short definition of what gender-based violence actually is. Gender-based violence refers to any act that is perpetrated against the will of someone else. It's based on gender norms and unequal power relationships. It encompasses threats and coercion and can take form in physical, emotional, psychological, and sexual nature. Okay, we had asked the public to engage us on myths that they know about gender-based violence. So before we jump into our discussion, ladies, let us quickly take a look at the myths that surround gender-based violence. The first myth on gender-based violence is that violence against women is an issue that only concerns women. Ladies, what's your take on this?
I mean, it doesn't even make sense because gender is it's not just women, right? And women don't exist in like a bubble, in like some vacuum where they exist alone. No, abuse on women has a direct impact on everyone around them, therefore has a direct impact on men, on children, on transgender, on anything on the gender scale. It just doesn't even make sense. I mean, what, like, how? And also it impacts because when a woman is violated, she has to report it probably to a male police officer. There's probably going to be a male judge or a male lawyer or a male prosecutor, all of those things. So I don't even know how this makes sense to people.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think one of the problems with this myth is that a man can think, because I am not physically perpetrating this against my girlfriend, my wife, my female friends, it doesn't affect me, but they forget that they are mothers, they are sisters, any environment they are around, any person they are around is affected by this, because it's not just a single woman who goes through this. It is a whole ecosystem, a whole community. So it's very dangerous to put it only on a female that is removed from me. It can happen to anyone at any point, and it has to be a societal problem.
Yeah. Bali?
Yeah. Wendy said what I was going to say, that it not only concerns women. Lende, actually, I really don't have anything to say with it because common sense, it doesn't make sense now.
Well, how do you feel about this comment? How do you feel about this comment or point of view?
People have pinned this in a way only to abafazi, to a point whereby if ever a woman abuses a man, like they get justified for that, like they don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Very problematic. Okay. I think we've touched on this one a lot. We really can't have an opinion on it because we really just do think it's a myth and a very, I don't know, awkward, uncomfortable, unrealistic myth to even have.
Yes.
It's very, let's say, narrow-minded to describe it in the best words. So can we move on to our next topic? Our next myth?
Also add something.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you guys are active on Twitter or not, but I remember the other time, like a few days back, it also like a couple. Okay, something broke out, like a celebrity couple. They can I say babake? Is that the correct term to say babake couple?
Yeah.
Okay, basically a same gender couple. Recently, what happened? They came out to Kutibana by abuser, and the other one abuses the other one, and then someone on the TL asked, "But is it still gender-based violence if it's gay people?" Yes, Banzan.
You right. Of course, it's still gender-based violence. And I think then it just brings out a sad thing that maybe in our activism, in our talking about gender-based violence, we're not really getting the message across, right? As you say, it's become this thing of women only. But no, same sex, same gender, transgender, everything on the gender line, right? And I don't have the language to describe all of it. But any violence based or prejudice on your gender or of gender, it's majority women, Black women, doesn't take away the fact that women abuse men as well. Men do abuse men as well. Women do abuse women as well. Thing in between. So I always feel, worried when we see. I mean, Twitter is a woke space. So if even there people are having thoughts like this, it just makes me.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry.
Yes, you can speak. No, you can speak.
Since like we speak a lack of empathy and a lack of understanding and complete ignorance and sometimes bordering on arrogance, whereby irrespective of who you are, if you have a complaint against your partner, against any person that you're with, your boss, your friend, or whatever, if I come and I have a complaint and I said I have been violently abused, I've been emotionally abused, I've been psychologically abused, does someone else have the right to ridicule that pain? And it was my partner just because it was my father. If I have complaint, if I'm feeling uncomfortable, if I've hurt, the level that is irrespective of the platform it is, if you can laugh at someone's pain, what does that say about you? And as one of the comments made was, it speaks to the marches we've been having, the conversations we're having. Are we putting you when you come and face your pain? Then what are we doing, and what is the answer? And that's why such conversations, it's like, are we changing anything? Violence, abuse is abuse. It needs to be stopped irrespective of the level of perpetration.
Yeah. Not her questioning, but she saw views on Twitter that questioned if it's two gay men, is it then gender-based violence? And in the description, the fact that someone else is viewing themselves as superior, maybe even if it's not, it doesn't have to be a woman. The moment the relationship is unequal, and the moment one person is submitting or submissive and stuff like that, and one is the dominant, then we have a pure, idea of what gender-based violence is. And that's unfortunately been the idea of what a woman is for the longest time, the submissive being in relationships. So maybe things are going to change. Like sometimes it's not going to be a woman, sometimes it's going to be a man and a man, a woman and a woman. Yeah. But the fact that someone else views themselves as more superior than the other one, gender-based violence can occur. So men troll this is a very common one, and it's an excuse they tend to use for everyone whenever we confront them with their issues. So ladies, what's your take on this?
I feel like we need to stop making excuses for men. Like there's no way that a person can control the anger. Like we should just stop making excuses for men.
Because anger does not automatically lead to violence. I mean, anger so men can't control their anger. Yeah, and I've heard it way too much. It's because I feel like
and I think it's Okay, sorry, I thought you were carrying on. So I was saying, things like statements like these give men license to behave in a way that they actually have no right to. And I think one of the statements that also comes to mind when I hear men can't control their anger is that whole statement of boys will be boys. He's just being a man. He's just being a boy. This is how men are. No, if as a woman I can control my anger, if as a woman I can control my tongue, why can't you control your anger? Why can't you keep it in your pants? There are so many things that as a man you can easily do, and you don't have a right or license because you've got testosterone or whatever it is. Keep it in your pants. Control your anger. Keep it, even if it's like emotional abuse, keep it to yourself. Like men can control. And we've given him license by raising them to say, "Ah, man, boys will be boys," and that's such a dangerous place. Even raising them from children, the whole thing of boys will be boys. He's just being a boy. He's just wild. Allow him, allow him, allow him. And then they grow up as these entitled men boys who don't know how to do anything because we've coddled them so much. So it even starts with raising, like how we raise boys, and then it leads to the kind of men they become. And I've seen this over and over and over.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Anilile, what's your take on this?
I mean,
Especially, Kuba, you have a baby boy. What do you have?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of myself in that context and thinking of similar things around automatic assumptions, right? Like how women are automatically emotional. Hey, boo. Why? How? You know,
Yeah.
I hate like a stereo, like hypersexualizing, homogenizing people, because it's based on nothingness, right? So when I think about raising the boy child and allowing him to express himself, but that's not really the problem. The problem can be that are we allowing girl children to express themselves as well, or are we duplicating ourselves in our girl children? That's also another important thing that we need to be careful of. That as soon as a little girl is able to stand by the sink, that she's expected to wash her dishes, and we applaud that, right? But when she goes out dancing or jumping or jump, what are these jungle gyms and things? They say no hold back, you never find a live. And I was that child as well, right? Because I'm that child who changes tires, who changes light bulbs, and then my mom will say, "Hey, what fun it will find I need." And I'm like, no, it just means that I'm a complex human being. You can't box me in a certain thing. It's not fair. It's not fair to ourselves. It's not fair to our kids. It's also not fair to our partners in the future or partners right now, right? I mean, excusing men from actively killing women, actively raping women and assaulting them by saying men can't control their anger, whereas the same men that can't control their anger are trusted with big organizations, they are trusted in families. In fact, there's no family meeting that can happen until Uncle John is there. And why? Because he's the oldest uncle. It doesn't mean that he has worked in a particular, it doesn't have some managerial skills or anything, just because he was the firstborn guy. Now we can't even, resolve on a simple matter like what is the menu for the funeral, because we must wait for Uncle John. The same man who can't control his anger. It just makes it's so weird, because the more you unpack it and the more you think about it, the more it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. And closely related to that is this thing of real men don't rape. I hate that slogan so much, because it's real men that are raping. It's not monsters, it's not dogs, there's no Yeti or wolf. It's men. Men we love, men, trust, men abagezayo, abahle. Like if you think of employed men, so there's no such thing as like a face of rape, that this one definitely can and this one definitely can't. And we see that always with our celebrity faves doing shameless things to women in their lives, but because we adore their music, or we adore their acting, or we adore whatever role that they play in public, then they are condemned from. Then again, no shame, but it's probably just angry, or it's really frustrating.
It's infuriating. It really is. Ugh.
Yeah, it truly is. This is why we have to remove, like, having these conversations, as much as we sometimes feel like they're not progressive and they're not working, because we think, just, you know what, why teach people that aren't willing to learn? And but it's important, because from where we started and where we are right now, there's a huge difference. At least people are willing to have the conversation now. At the beginning, no one would sit down and have this discussion with us, and they would just say, boys will be boys, men can't control their anger, men, and stuff like that. And that's not really the case. At least now we get to say, no, we don't know men, and they won't just be boys. It's you raise them like that, and you're not going to pin on us. You can't control what we've created. So I think it is our job, not our job, but it's a task we've taken on, to have to spend the rest of our lives conscientizing and teaching and unlearning ourselves certain things that we've been taught. And one of the things we have to keep on hammering, especially with the next generation, is that boys won't be boys, and men can control their anger. And they, it's not human to be that aggressive. It's very, we have to make it look disgusting. You know how they make everything women do that's a bit off or a bit too manly look extremely disgusting? Oh my God, that girl does this. She can change a tire. It looks horrible, and she just, why are you comfortable with her body being like that? Actually, why are you so comfortable being that violent? It's disgusting behavior, and we have to normalize making it look that disgusting, so that they understand that we don't view them as human when they act in such a way. We view them as animals. It's very animal. It's animal-like behavior, and the biggest problem is that we painted it in glitter, and we tried to make it look cute. We tried to make violence look adorable, and it's now a bigger problem than we could ever imagine. I love him. I love a manly man. Yeah, you mean a man that, it ended up being stuff like that. So I think we have to stop making them feel disgusted. Nobody wants a manly man that beats you up. Nobody wants that. That's not attractive, So I think that's a discussion, or that's a movement. Shame men for their behavior. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I think we've covered enough on this topic, unless anyone has anything else to say.
No. Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Our next myth is, there is nothing wrong with sexist jokes. Okay. Let me start with Mbali. Mbali, what's your take on this?
When I got this, I couldn't even put it on status on Instagram, because I was just like, what do you mean there's nothing wrong with sexist jokes? Like, can't they see that making these jokes actually promotes gender stereotypes, these gender discrimination,
rape culture?
Yeah, about rape culture, izinto I spoke about it this other day. Monogamy is it? I don't know, man. But do you okay? I know those things.
Misogyny. Misogyny.
Like you making as a jokes, these sexist jokes actually opens up a platform for men to be discussing, for men for people to be like, okay, men can't control their anger, or as ridiculous myths that we are talking right now. Yeah, but so these. I couldn't even share this on my status. I was just like, you know what, because I make it.
Wendy, what's your take on this?
This is the one thing where I think both genders are, both genders can lend a very strong voice. I've been in situations in the workplace where I'll hear a joke, for example, these typical blonde jokes, these typical jokes of she slipped her way to the top, these typical jokes of you look better laying down, all of these things. And it's a man saying it in a group of women, and the women will laugh. And they're like, he was just joking, we're taking things too seriously. So we give them permission to speak about other women like this. We give them permission to sexualize. Imagine, like, I was standing there and they're talking about my boss, and this guy makes a joke and the ladies laugh and I didn't laugh, and then they were like, but you take things too seriously. I'm like, no. If this was a male CEO, they wouldn't be making such jokes. But not because it's a woman, automatically he's allowed to make jokes about her. And as women, why are we laughing? Joke.
It's not a
showing
joke.
who he is.
It's not
a joke. For me, like, when a man makes a joke like this, it's not funny. It really isn't funny.
Then women get upset. We say that they enable us and they are patriarchal princesses, because I mean, sometimes you get women that actually act like that. They act like patriarchy is something they like want to swim in all day, because you see them being these 24/7. Imagine being a pick-me in a situation where another woman is being violated, another woman is being embarrassed, another woman is being humiliated. Here you are, pick me, guys, pick me. Like, oh my God, can you kind of?
And they will pick you. And when you are picked, when it's your turn, we must be hashtagging. We must be fighting for you. I hate that. I'm like,
whether you allow all of this to happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now you're counting on us feminist activists to be like, no, every life no. Can you do right? Yes, we'll always fight for you, because even they deserve to be safe, sadly. But no, man, this is abusive. We need to talk about cis-het women and how they're gatekeeping patriarchy and how they're protecting it and just, carrying it, the burden, and hiding themselves in the burden. I hate it.
Yeah.
And it's not a sex joke.
It was there's this lady that I liked so much. I think you guys know her. I'm such a Real Housewives basketball fan, ne? So this girl, and there's an interview, ne? Yeah, was about what type of man does she like? Kubona type zakhe, how ufuna one indoda imphathe njani. Uthi, I think Nyama's Manu Drea, like this beautiful.
She did that was disgusting.
She was like, I like it when a man will be like, hey baby, come on. Okay, Nyama like we went to hear time and would be bossing her around, who'll be swearing at her. Are you sure? Like, are you sure you would like a man to treat you like that? Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't like you anymore. Unfollow. Very much.
She needs help, because that is the conditioning. It's a conditioning.
That is conditioning.
This is what love is, and now this is what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's real, if it's not for the for the gram, if it's real and she genuinely feels like that, because I know there's people, and I know we'll talk about it in the next myth, that the love language is violence, because they grew up in violent homes, and when they're being oppressed and abused, that's how they communicate love, right? And I think that is a deeper thing, that is a mental illness thing, that's also very serious. But on the sexist jokes, what sexist jokes do? They make the world a safe space for predators, right? They make they make it a safe space for ridicule. They make it a safe space for nullifying hard work. So I can work as hard as I can. And already in the workplace as a woman, you are working harder than the average man, because men are typically just trusted that they know stuff. They just trusted automatically that they do work better than us. So you are probably already working twice as hard to prove yourself that you have earned a particular portfolio, right? And if we are going to ridicule that hustle, or in any of our hustles, even now at our younger ages, then it nullifies our existence. It continues the narrative that women are just disposable, right? And that women are there as quotas, because now there's quotas for women. No, we need at least out of 10, at least 4 in management. But even when they're in management, they're probably doing the administrative work, not the content work, not the technical work. So we are being managed in so many ways, already institutionally. Like, things are founded, institutionally. We are earning less already for the same jobs that we are doing. On top of all of that, are you really going to ha on a sexist joke? Like, are you really going to do that? Are you going to reverse all this hard work that we're doing, by just allowing people to talk about our breasts, or, hey, of course she's smart, because, she's not very gifted sexually, or because she's ugly, she had to study, all of those things. And we're just like, no, okay, I got you for no other reason, but that I'm able.
But also at times, people, they're trying to protect themselves, because you don't know what will happen if it plays out and say, no guys, what you just said is mean. You're not allowed to say all of that. So at times you just just to run away from whatever.
But that's the pick me thing. That's something you need to run away from. That's the negotiating your own safety at the cost of everyone else. That's not okay. That's not okay, because if it's like when we're talking about patriarchy as a system, it affects all of us, and all of us at every level need to fight it. I'm not saying that, and sometimes you can't physically or say the words, but by not laughing, that is already communicating something. But actively laughing and endorsing a joke, that is actually causing harm. There's more passive-aggressive ways in an unsafe space to get your safety, but you can't then also now add on to the joke because you want to, because if that day you're being a pick-me.
Yeah, because it happens a lot.
I don't know what you feel.
Like, it happens a lot on Twitter and stuff like that, where you'll see guys being extremely rude, and it's just a nasty conversation, and you'll see some girls will be out there endorsing it, like, yeah, continue with the jokes, when we can just scroll past. You literally have the option of just keeping quiet and scrolling if you don't want to be confronted or involved in the situation. But it even happens in real life, guys. Like, you'll be at a braai or something, and I understand that sometimes you really don't have an opinion or something because people have things on you, whatever the case may be. You really just don't want to be involved. You care about yourself more than anyone else. But I'm not saying put on a t-shirt and turn and endorse and support someone who's being the perpetrator. Or like the other time, there was a case of rape on Twitter, and some girls went out of their way to defend a rapist. They literally made videos defending a rapist. It was cringeworthy. It was like, what in patriarchy is this? Like,
where in patriarchy are we?
Like, we were literally making videos on Instagram. He would never. You guys don't know him. I know. What on earth is that? It's just disgusting. Just because someone's your friend doesn't mean he didn't rape. It means he probably most likely did it, but he didn't rape you, and you're lucky for that. So it's just the little things that usually irk me. Like, these things just frustrate me, because sometimes just shut up. I don't know. Just shut up. Don't have an opinion on things you don't need to have an opinion on. You don't have to be opinionated on someone being beaten up, telling us, you're giving us 2-cent think pieces on how you think it's not real, how you think it's staged. She likes attention. She wanted it. Oh my, like, just keep your 2 cents to yourself and let's keep it moving. If you believe her, believe her.
Like, when they make those jokes and then they use abandon as memes. Have you ever saw that? Can you have ever seen that?
That's so gross. I've seen that.
I think
it's so gross.
Yeah.
It's so gross. Twitter is a gross place, right?
Mhm.
On an ordinary day. And then on Men Are Trash days, on Black Lives Matter days, then it's filth. Then just leave the entire app. Because, I mean, when Unele passed on, there were so many threads, right, of people outing their rapists. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that account got blocked and got suspended and whatever. But we got a good lists in Joburg, list in Durban, and wherever else of people just saying this person did this to me, this person did this to me. And we obviously don't know the conditions or the context, but the fact that there was a list and so, you are on this list. Can I, as your friend, acknowledge that you can be a good friend to me, but also an abuser, right? That you can have different people. Maybe to me, you're an amazing friend, you respect me, but maybe to Mbali, you aren't. And I need to respect that. I don't know all of you, right? But I can't then discredit Mbali so that my friend can be sort of made innocent or whatever. In any case, none of those people, nothing happened to them. They're still on our streets. They are still on Twitter. They're still being celebrated, hashtagged. They are promoting things. Brands are aligning with them.
But also, what nowadays is that whenever they see someone that was on the list, they always say, "But wasn't this person on the list?" And then they call out, and then Abantu now they trying to distance themselves from the people. But Abanye, they still hype them. But a lot of people now from those people.
Honey, distancing is
it only happens on Twitter.
Distancing is not the only thing that people should do. Utsala ngendlebe umse police station okanye utsale nalentombazana be hurt. Dibane police station, you make a case, you get arrested, -1 don't like a rapist or whatever.
But people only act like that on Twitter, but in real life you'd find that Abu Bandu, they chilling with Abu Bandu like in Sklavini, and everywhere else. On Twitter, they just act.
I think we need to talk about cancel culture one of these days because we are canceling people and then they're on our TVs. Last night, the person we cancelled that individual properly. That one of Blaze and he was trending yesterday on Fact Durban Rocks. His new album, People Command, Java also.
But now you're facing me.
Yeah, I was say babes as well. Like, if you are gonna call someone out for their bad behavior and they victimizing and abusing you, and you're the same person who goes back to them and defends them, then what kind of behavior
must also be cancelled?
Yeah,
she must also be cancelled because she's also endorsing that behavior. So if you are going to start and not end, we'll end it for you.
Yeah,
even her. It's wrong because of what you say.
Yeah.
But we need to talk about cancel culture one of these days.
No, we do.
I think we've touched on the patriarchal or sexual jokes enough. So let's move on to our next myth before we run out of time, and we can just jump on that and see. Okay, let me see what this says. Okay, gender-based violence only includes physical abuse. Something I actually hate talking about because it's a very once again narrow-minded point of view. Because I've seen this so many times. I've dealt with people that defended their people they know because they were like, yeah, but he didn't abuse her. Like, I didn't say what type of form did the abuse come in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be logical. It could be emotional. Like I said, abuse is abuse. Yeah. So it's always frustrating to see people defend or say, no, but he's not an abuser. When did he ever? Like, emotional abuse is a real thing.
It's real. People want physical scars, and why must they come with a beaten blue eye and a broken nose and dislocated collarbone in order for you to acknowledge the fact that I'm being abused? because there's no scars for emotional abuse that we can see on the surface. But as time goes on, the scars start to show themselves, the scars of sexual abuse. I also deal with this when I work with children around sexual grooming. And a person says, no, but the child wasn't abused. And be like, sexual grooming is abuse. Just because he hasn't physically penetrated this child, it doesn't mean he's not abusing her. Sexual grooming is abuse, but people want physical evidence. Why must there be evidence? Abuse is abuse.
You know, on this, I think physical abuse, I think the physical is like the manifestation of the emotional. I don't think you just hit someone from the word go. I think abuses, like, you know, they isolate you. There's a whole process that they very, I don't know, a choreographed skill. That by the time he hits you, he's already for sure destroyed you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So now he feels safe to now hit you, rape you, assault you, or whatever that we can term as physical. So I think, and I don't know, so you can tell us about the law system and how that is that even regarded as abuse, like legally? Can I go open a thing, or is it just something you must just deal with?
Well, according to my knowledge, I don't think you can open a case for emotional abuse.
I'm literally going on Google now. I'm so curious. I want to see that.
But maybe that's something we need to advocate for.
Yeah. I think it's something. I don't think it's something that we should start like being a bit loud on, because this is what happens. We end up having the next generation that is now, you see, our generation is literally, this is the worst with depression it's ever been. We've seen so many suicides in our time that it looks as if we're just killing ourselves. This is a generation that's just killing themselves. And that really isn't the case, because we've allowed emotional and psychological abuse to become a norm with our parents, our parents, and you know, it comes from their relationships onto our relationships, onto the next person's relationship, and it goes on and on. It's like a domino effect. So you start doing things that are abusive, emotionally abusive in your relationships that you know from home, because that's what you grew up understanding. But now people become we are unable to tolerate these things because we've taken so much in our safe spaces that when we try to enter these new relationships with other people, it overwhelms a lot of us, because that's what I was dealing with when I was helping a lot of people that were fighting with depression in the other organization I was working with. And most of the girls stated that they tolerated emotional abuse because it was something they had known their mothers to tolerate. Something that they would it's something that not actively taught, but you know, it's something they grew up knowing as love and understanding as love. The idea of someone having control over you, where you go, who you with, who you talk to, who are your friends, and all of that is abusive nature. And it starts with those little things. Oh my God, he is jealous of this. Oh, jealousy is so cute. I love a man that gets jealous of me. And it's jealous. There's a thin line between jealous and crazy. You know what I mean? And you don't know when you're going to cross it. And a lot of us glamorize, like I said, we put glitter on this and we try to make it cute. And it's actually animal behavior. Someone shouldn't be jealous of you. You're a human. You have to make other relationships with other people. If you choose to pair up with someone else, that's good for you, but he shouldn't be jealous of the connections you make with other people. That's in our nature to make connections. And the fact someone's saying your friends can't be who and who, you should stay, why aren't you home, why are you in the club, I date a girl like this, I didn't marry a person like this. This is where it starts. And then you end up isolating yourself, you end up removing yourself from situations, and then you end up being alone. This is when it's okay for him to come and beat you up and stuff like you said. It becomes a pattern. It's a very skilled where it's manipulation. I don't even perpetrators understand when they're doing it that they're doing this, but they put you into a corner where it's okay to finally abuse you physically. But there's something you had to go through to ever get to a point where you tolerate the physical abuse. And that's the emotional abuse. And that's something in South Africa we need to start hammering on, because we're letting people get away. We were only catching someone when they hit you. And that, by that time, like babes will do, I can't say I blame her. There's a huge thing we're missing. It's the psychological and emotional abuse that she's gone through, that she doesn't want to let go of a person physically abusing her. That's the thing we should be trying to understand. Why are you not willing to let go? What has happened to you? You know what I mean? You're not the same person anymore, because we all know she would have left if it was day 2 of dating and she was still her normal self. But there's something you have to go through that makes you tolerate such. No woman would tolerate such. I don't think so, especially when you come from. Actually, no woman will tolerate it. It doesn't matter where you come from. No woman wants to be abused. Even Andrea's story, no woman actually wants to be abused.
No. But also in our culture, like in our black cultures, we believe that when a person abuses you, can you come back better? We believe that they love you. That's why in most cases you won't see someone you won't see someone leaving because they believe that we are turned. And that's maybe his way of showing you that they love you.
Yeah, that's so
you know what the abuser does, right? The abuser says, please be patient with me. I'm fixing myself for you, right? It's because I love you so much that I get so angry with you, right? He becomes a burden on you, and you feel like, it makes you feel like you're the only help, you know, that he can ever get, right? And the abuser will tell you that if you leave me now, this was bulala, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that goes on to our next myth. Yeah, I'll die without you. There's suicide attempts. There's men who will physically go to your house, to your mother, and say that because he's already positioned himself in your family as probably a provider, as probably a good guy who helps out. So when it comes to your mother, to be like, no, your mother's like, hey, oh, this child, how come to this amazing boy? Yeah, right? Yeah. So the whole system is against you. Now you can't leave. Now you know he's dependent on you. Abusers will let you believe that their change is in your hands. And in all honesty, your only dependent are your kids. You can't, like, no one should be dependent on you for anything. And sometimes you just have to be selfish. But that takes a long journey for you to be like, hey, you know what, if he dies, he dies. You know what, it's fine. And I don't know, now you feel inhuman, now you feel like a monster. Now this guy is killing himself, now he's beating up the next person because when you couldn't fix him. And at the end of the day, I'm not Bob the Builder.
Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think Bob the Builder.
I'm not. Sorry.
And just, I don't know if it's a Zulu thing, but a lot of you guys, like I see on Twitter, I think, I don't know if it's a joke or anything, but at times when someone sends an intro, they're always like, I'm pretending I'm shy. Is it like a joke? It's Zulu.
No, it's very serious.
Is it?
It's very serious. I don't know if it's in the culture.
When you're doing something, like, melo shy, like, why using Alondo?
Yeah, so Zulu men beat not only women but themselves also. There's like ayikinto ezothetwa, ayikinto ezokhulunywa abantu ngamadoda as phumesiwe, as bhekana engaged futhi usiwe once. It's the law of the jungle there by Zululand. It's like it is how it is. It's actually very serious. It's very serious because they beat each other up properly, like Zulu men. Probably the largest killers of Zulu men are other Zulu men, and then they beat their kids and beat their children because the violence, the dominance. I don't know where we went wrong there by our province, but it's very true, and therefore Zulu women romanticize the violence. we are number one perpetrators of that, of endorsements of violent behavior, meaning love, of jealousy, and hyper, like obsession. Obsession means love in thing. So if you're hanging out with your friends and he's calling you all the time, that is celebrated. If you hang out with your family and he comes to fetch you, that is celebrated. Whereas, as Uzido was saying, that's not normal behavior. That's psychotic. That's obsessive. But yeah.
And you know what? Usually, something we never notice is something. I speak of the Mambiki and Babes Odumo situation a lot because it's something that really frustrates me, because I see a lot of abuse, not just the one incident, you know what I mean? I see so many levels of abuse in that relationship alone. There was a time where Babes made that video and she showed us that Mambiki is being abusive. And he came out and he had a whole, like, she beats me up, and you know, like, she's the violent one. I did it because she did it. And that's it. That for me was proof that something I've always seen, where a perpetrator successfully brands the victim as a perpetrator or a crazy person, or like they successfully attach everything. She's on drugs. He even said that she's on drugs. She's what, she's what, she's what. Oh, there's a baby. Anyways, so it happens constantly, whereby they successfully brand the victim as crazy, as like the victim being the abusive one. That, no, she's crazy. She calls me like 20 times a day. She pops up no matter. But what did you do to her? What are we not understanding about this situation? That, because we come in last minute, like right now on Twitter, there was something about someone called C, I don't know, I forgot their name, but there's this couple on Twitter that's fighting, right? The girl's claiming she's being abused. The guy is saying that, no, she's actually crazy and she's the abusive one. She did X, Y, Z. He has proof. But in my opinion, I'm still believing the girl. Why? I've seen so many men successfully try to brand the woman as the abusive one. And it's because she's reached her boiling point. Now why is it taking videos of her angry? You know what I mean? Why does he have it strategically at a place where he's not saying anything? I'm not being naive, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But I find it very awkward when you make it look like this girl got angry for no reason and you're so calm in a situation. I'm struggling to believe that there isn't something to it. You know what I mean? And this happens a lot. When a guy comes out and he says, this girl's crazy, she calls me, she does all of these weird things that make her crazy. But I still believe that there's something being done to that person that you're not letting us know because you don't want us to see. And that happened a lot with the guys that came out on the list. These are the same guys that call, oh, I have a crazy ex-girlfriend, I have a crazy what, I have a crazy... Those girls weren't crazy. They tried to make them look crazy so those girls don't speak the truth. And when those girls came out on that list and started saying, that man's the rapist, he was like, I told you guys this girl's crazy. He did it deliberately so that the day she did decide to speak up about this thing, she looks crazy. And it happens a lot. And I think it's something we tend to ignore.
Remember that Mom Pincher started dating Babes when Babes was in high school.
Yeah.
There was a time when she was 19 saying, I've been with Mom Pincher for 7 years. Then you can calculate how young she was when he started being in her life. And why would a man want to date someone so young? Why? But that's another topic.
That's a topic for another day, Sana, because there was something on Twitter, and there were girls that were young girls dating older guys in high school. I've seen it in my high school. I've experienced, but it's a topic for another day.
If you do you have anything else to say?
No.
Okay, on to the next myth, guys. Quickly try to wrap this up. Okay, women allow themselves to be abused. They could leave their partners if they really wanted to. Okay, ladies, what's your take on this?
Now, guys, I have a friend who has been in an abusive relationship, ne? And I asked her the same question, but okay, Lumfana, you've been with him for so long, and we are born a big abuser because he started emotionally. As Anneli said, he did the whole "I'll kill myself," blah 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 blah, and I was actually, unfortunately, also had to witness the whole thing. Like, yeah, and she told me something. She was like, "It's hard to leave an abusive relationship because number one, you have to understand that when a person, because I've also been in a victim of emotional abuse, but not boyfriend wise. When a person abuses you emotionally, ne, he gets into your mind and he will make you feel like you're alone. He will make you feel like no one loves you, you're not worth it, don't. He's the only one that's don't, emotional. Okay, you feel stuck, most you feel like don't. Okay, but he will abuse you and cover it up with presents and being nice and boyfriend doing boyfriending things, blah blah blah. Now you're getting more trapped in a relationship, but okay, you're getting now more invested and all of that. But no man, Ian better because Ian Tanda, I did this. And taking over when you say abuser, they're gonna blame it on you. But when Annelile, you made me do this. Why did you look at me in a certain way? Why did you do it in a certain way? So it took her almost like, they've been together since high school. It took her almost like 3 to 4 years to actually emotionally get out of the relationship. And it's so sad that it took another guy who they just they had a thing, but okay, no, all right, this is how you're supposed to be treated. It took another guy for her to actually wake up and be like, "Hi man, a relationship is supposed to be like this and not like this." So Lendova, they could leave their partners if they really wanted to. It's not as easy as we can say, because Singabanya, we've never been in an abusive relationship. It really takes, like, you really need to be emotionally out of the relationship in order for you to be like physically out of relationship, to be like, okay, now we are done. I'm done with this relationship. Because even now, babes so too. Oh, babes, fine. She reached her point by man abuse her mom, don't. But she went back, and I know about relationships. It's because they emotionally invested, and when the abuser abused them, they made sure that they put in this corner to maybe like, no one has your back, no one loves you but me now. Yeah, so it's a psychological thing to, it's deep, guys. It's not just
It's also a financial thing sometimes. So if the breadwinner is the predator, and you're literally fighting stomach politics versus if I pay through the pain, at least me and my kids will have shelter and food. That happens a lot with predators that will be abusing not only you but also your children. And you guys all just stay because, well, this is what TV, because bread. And I really feel like we can't judge people like that when we don't have solutions for them. There are not enough safe spaces for people to run to, or even when you want to go to SAPS, but the guy there who captain is your brother-in-law of the guy who's because that's how it happens in communities, or all this SAPS is just like, no man, please, we are not homebreakers. Yabo, and now it's your burden as the woman. Now the whole generation is going to die because you are living with this man. And then there's the family matter. I mean, close friends of mine where the husband starts being shady, physically abusive, and you tell your own mother, your mother's like, Sister, we deregistered you in this house. Now you belong to that house, right? and then you go to that house, and then they're like, look, did you not know your partner before you married him? Into yasemadlozini ngeke sakwazi ukuhlukanisa. And you're like, there's absolutely no safe space. So like your own in-laws are telling you that I guess this your mother is like, there's no room for you in this house anymore. You must go to the house that we sent you to. So there's literally very few spaces for people to live. Even when now, when that is saying the emotional unraveling has happened and someone is consciously aware that they're being abused, there are so few exit points for majority of South Africans, and that is across genders. I mean, across races. I know because South Africa is a country of extended families. I know Indian people do the extended family a lot. There's religion. There's also pastors saying, no, let's pray through this. No, he must stop hitting me. He must stop hitting me. There's no amount of prayer and fasting that's going to assist a predator being a predator, right? So there are so many institutions that just keep women in, and I don't think it's fair at all to say they choose to stay.
Yeah. If what's your take on this?
Oh, as somebody was saying about her friend, I think also at times it's all that you know when, because you've been in this relationship for such a long time that you don't know anything other than what you experience. So at times it really takes for someone else to show you otherwise, but no, this is not how it's supposed to be. Like, this is not how you're supposed to be treated ever. So it's really not as easy to just wake up one day and be like, I'm leaving this person.
Yeah, I really don't have much to say in this, because I do tend to think that this is you're speaking from a point of not understanding, is point of ignorance, you know what I mean? And yes,
but also times I feel like, especially when physical abuse is involved, like the moment someone shows any signs of just a clap in jail, I feel like umdu should leave. Like, don't wait for a day into something more. Like, the minute a guy raises his hand, leave, bruh. Like, just leave, because you don't know what he's gonna do next. If you're gonna allow that, and then just leave.
It's not like that. Like I said, by the time he hits you, even just a small pinch, there's so much work he's done inside, and the apologies that come after. And when the first time he hits you, you will be sure this was the last time, and then you will be shamed, right? That you end up staying and you end up believing, then it was my fault. Maybe if I just came home earlier, maybe if I didn't talk back. You see, that's the thing. That's the problem. Like we were saying, you can't. It's not on the second date that he forces himself on you or hits you. It's like after a lot of stuff, and some of us are more resilient. So you're not going to, he might need to do more work on you. And some of us are easier to manipulate, right? That's just the nature of people. Or maybe he just knows how to manipulate your type of person. So by the time, and he's going to hit you, now you've got a big bouquet, he's going to do a big act of love. And now everyone, your family is like, oh, but he's paying lobola for you, sis. Why? Because it's to cover his tracks. It's also to gain alliance with the people around you so that you feel isolated. That's what abusers do. And I genuinely feel like when he's dragging you in the street in the car, the same people who have been benefiting from your hurts, because he's been buying everyone booze, he's been buying everyone furniture, whatever your family wants, whatever your friends want. By the time it's so, you've changed, you've got so much responsibility, and that the shows of guilt, the gift buying is a definite trait. The apology and the big acts of love and gestures of love are like a big trait of abusers, so that you indeed end up feeling like it's only when you do something wrong, that he's triggered to beat you, which is a weird thing, right? But that's exactly how it happens. That you'll be like, and then he'll also be like, but Anya, why did you come home so late? You know I don't like that. And now you see, no man, I must come home earlier. Now you know, why did I drive past checkers or whatever? Next thing he's got a tracker. You see, it's never just an instant thing. There's like it's a work of art, this abuser thing. You know, it's a lot. And for you to untangle yourself from all of that, it takes a lot, and it needs a support system, and also it needs solutions. It needs institutions of safety where you can run to. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of those. Yeah. But yeah, if you hit you on the first date, run again.
Yeah, that's obvious. Like,
or show the red flags, right? The aggressive, the hyper obsession and things. There are red flags. Maybe we can talk about that another time.
You know what's amazing is that lately, I don't know, maybe in the past we were a bit oblivious, or I don't know, we just weren't looking for them. But like lately, it's like if you just go through these social media accounts, you get every answer you've ever wanted in your life. It's I don't know, these red flags, it's like, oh my god, okay, look. It's either you know that I'm not going to have an opinion in this relationship, I won't be able to talk, so you move on. And you're like, let's cross this one out. That's how easy dating has been for me. It's just like, okay, no, it's not my type, definitely not my type. You see a nice picture, you see something about, a post about a crazy ex-girlfriend, you're like, he's a liar, the girl's not crazy. Just know, whenever they say crazy ex-girlfriend, she's not crazy. He is actually crazy. So that's what I've already. And then you see a lot.
That is so true.
Not all men are trash, and you're like, whoa, okay, that's me, I'm out. But it's become so much easier with the little things they say. They shoot themselves in the foot. Okay, this is where I gracefully take my exit. Like, you probably liked the picture the first time, but now you're realizing that he was there. You followed. Now you're realizing he's busy on. Not all men are trash, and you're like, yo, I come in the niegelo. Something else better will come. Oh, sometimes they become fake woke. Don't miss the ones that become fake woke. They do that thing of, I believe that every woman needs to be treated equally and blah 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 blah. And then 2 minutes later, he's there under a tweet. I'm done. You see, it's the same guys that do that. It's the same people. But I've learned that in
don't have to.
You know, it's like I've learned that inconsiderate of everything, we can't ever victim shame. Victim shaming is off. You know, you can't tell a victim how to act. In the same way, you can't if someone. You can't.
Quack. Soon do you quack.
Oh man, your talent to explore. That's what happens. He likes lipstick and Rihanna. What can we say?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So I'm saying that we can't tell people how to react, and we can't tell people when they'll be ready to leave a situation. Sometimes we're not lucky enough to conscientize them enough to leave a situation, or support them enough to feel comfortable leaving. You know what I mean? But I've been with so many situations like this, and I think I've tried my best to convince them, and even if they don't want to leave, that they always have me to run to whenever things get too heated. That's the only support I can actually provide. Sometimes I can't protect you, I can't make you leave because you're going to go back, but I can always be there when you need to call me at 12 a.m. and it's getting heated. I'll be there to assist you with that. You know what I mean? I've also noted, and I've grown to understand that it's ignorance made me believe that I would be able to leave, or would be able to not tolerate certain things immediately, because I always think people say, but he said I love the who, so you have to pray about it. Ignorance made me once believe that the moment he said I'm out. But you know, time has taught me that it's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be the the 20-year-old me that thought that she could walk out of every situation. The 20-year-old me didn't know better than what I know. I know abuse is a real thing, and it affects us differently, and we function differently. I can walk away from a first date, but I doubt that if it's 7 years of a relationship, I don't think it's going to be as easy. And I think it's something we have to sometimes just put yourself in someone else's, you'll get a better understanding of what they're going through instead of they can just leave. Just try to put yourself in the issues, and it's going to be easier than us saying, obviously in the moment you're frustrated, you think, but it doesn't usually work out that way. And I'm not saying you're less of a person if you don't want to leave. I'm just saying that we're all human, and emotional factors sometimes dictate how we react to situations. So yeah, we have to make peace with that. But is there anything else you ladies would like to add before we close it up? Okay.
Our woman crush for this week is CEO of Hemosaflo Cosmetics. Hemosaflo is skincare as well as a managing director at Mariana Agency, a newly founded agency that will mostly specialize in web designing, web development, as well as social media marketing. And I think they will most probably focus on smaller startups. Miss Simbali Sibop is making her mark in the beauty industry. Do you guys know her? All of you. You don't know her. No, Zulu.
Oh,
Why you not saying her handle? Sabongena, women crush.
Oh, hi man. Miss Mbali Sibapu, also known as Gorgeous Mbali on Instagram, is making her mark in the beauty industry, and she really inspires me and a whole lot of others. She's a silent killer. She literally smashes a goal in silence and shows us the results, which always leave us in awe. And she's such a consistent queen.
We thank you for the Women Crush.
Other news, our host Umbali is a Miss Africa finalist for 2021. Please do the honors and help us vote for her. SMS Miss 11 to 47018. 47018, Miss 11. And Miss Anelila has been nominated for the Sebenza Women Champion Award for 2020. Please show her some support and vote for her on 44344. SMS Anelile to 44344. I think that's. Does anyone have anything? Thank you. Are we, before we close off, do you guys have anything to say? Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you guys for watching until the end. Catch us on the next episode of M_. Thank you.